Hey guys, it's Thunder here, and welcome to episode 4 of Rivals. And now, once again, we head back to Forza Motorsport 4, but this time we're going to use the search option for our next two cars rather than going in the manufacturer, because of course this time around there's actually two different manufacturers. And just doing the search, I did this ahead of time, it's just easier to kind of just go to the S-Class to show them both off. Because today we're going to be battling the Saleen S5S Raptor versus the Ascari KZ1-R. Two more unique supercars, one of which almost happened but didn't quite, and another one which I believe happened and being a bit of an upgraded trim of an existing model. If we look at the stats alone, we can see that the S5S Raptor apparently has a PI of 623 versus 626 for the KZ1-R. The KZ1-R also has a better speed at 8.8 and handling at 6.0 versus a speed of 7.5 and a handling of 5.8 for the S5S Raptor. But the Raptor has better acceleration at 8.7 versus 8.4 for the acceleration, whereas they tie both for launch at 7.9, with 5.8 braking on the S5S Raptor and 5.9 on the KZ1-R. The Raptor also has about roughly a 650 horsepower engine with 630 pound-feet of torque from a 5-liter, I think it's a V8, could be wrong, weighing about 3,365 pounds. The Ascari, on the other hand, has around 521 horsepower and only about 398 pound-feet of torque, but also weighs quite a bit less at 2,976 pounds from a 4.9-liter engine. But, again, just like the two Fairlady Z432 versus Skyline 2000 GTR, the real deal breaker is the price. The S5S Raptor, for all that you get, comes to approximately 180,000 credits. Whereas for the KZ1-R, you're looking at nearly 200,000 more, costing at 350,000 credits, which is a lot of more money. So really, there's not much more benefiting you, because you could easily put more money to tune into the S5S Raptor to get the stats to be about roughly the same for each car. And also, these are both mid-engine rear-wheel drive cars, so really, the price difference here is so huge that it's quite obvious. The first point for this is going to be going to the S5S Raptor, because it cost 170,000 credits less. You could almost buy another S5S Raptor with that kind of money, so I think that sells it perfectly there. Anyways, so with 1 point up to the Raptor, it's time to go do our usual shenanigans of going over into the quick race. We're going to go over to Saleen here real quick. There we go. And get into the Raptor. And I kind of cut out for the Skyline, but I'll show off the paints for both vehicles. Or actually, lack thereof. Because the S5S Raptor only comes in this yellow livery. Kind of a similar livery that was seen with default the Z432. But, you know, the only one you could choose by default. Anyways, we're going to I guess maybe in case I accidentally shift poorly in manual, we'll just stick with the automatic for the drag. I mean, it's not usually recommended, but we're going to just see what happens. Anyways, we're going to do our quarter mile and see how these two cars do in a quarter mile. I also forgot to quickly mention that this challenge was requested by the real Emil. So he wants to see how these two cars do. So anyways, I accidentally just realized I'm in a quick race. I'm challenging another car, which I'm not, and I'm about to lose too, because that FF has a better launch than this S5S Raptor. It shouldn't matter, because we'll still get the same results from what we get. Anyways, a 12.346 for the S5S Raptor. Now, let me quickly go, of course, over into the next car and just make it so that we only have one other car to deal with. I completely didn't realize that because I'm a fool. But yeah, 12.346. Let's see if the KZ1-R can beat that. Now, if you're wondering about paints for the KZ1-R, this car also only comes in the black paint scheme that you see right here. So yeah, both cars today only have one choice of color. I didn't for the Skyline 2000 GTR, since I kind of cut it out. If you're wondering, the other two color schemes are like a bright red and a slightly darker red. Yeah. Anyways, so look at that. Even as well in the quarter mile, the Ascari can only manage a 12.513, which means that the S5S Raptor gets the 2-0 advantage already over the KZ1-R. So, hopefully the Ascari can try to make it up when it comes to the top speed test. Alright, so now it's time for the top speed runs of the cars. Now, since the Ascari is 2 points down on the S5S Raptor, we're going to let the Ascari go first. Now, if the stats are anything to go by, this is where the Ascari should be able to get a point from, because the Ascari is mentioned, it does mention that it has a higher top speed stat. So, will we be able to see if that's actually the case, or will it just be another story of the stats don't exactly add up? Again, I have to do this on the Le Mans straight away for this game, because it's pretty much still the best option for top speed, because the speed, though there is a nice 3-mile speedway track in this game, because of the turns and everything, it's just not long enough to get exactly top speed. And this 6th gear is pretty weak. Not much happening with this thing. We're getting up, but we are getting up to about 190, 191, 92, 93. Come on, 194, maybe 195, 195. It's gonna be a bit of a tease though, because this car gets so close, but not quite. I actually came quite well at that corner, but as we're going uphill, that's not gonna matter anymore. But yep, about 195 for the KZ1-R. That 6th gear is pretty damn weak on this car, so this may not be a good sign for the KZ1-R, because I have a feeling that Raptor may easily be able to tackle that time, but I mean, not time, that speed, but we'll see if that's actually the case or not. Now it's time for the S5S Raptor to see if it can best it. Now remember, the top speed that the S5S Raptor must beat is 195 miles an hour. So let's take a gander and see what the Saleen can do. I also forgot to quickly show off the interior view of the what is it, the Ascari, but I will do that when we get to the circuit lap time. But here's at least a general look of what the Raptor's interior looks like. So, you know, it's pretty simple. Got like a color scheme, interesting little dials. So, ooh, oh, okay. This is looking interesting. This could be close. I mean, this car does get into 6th gear a little bit sooner, but oh, come on. Again, this car looks like it has a weak 6th gear, just like the Ascari does. But the problem is, it's not pulling enough. Come on, maybe a little bit more. Nope, that's gonna probably be about it for this car. Jeez, these 6th gears really kill these cars. I might need to have to start doing this with manual transmission. It probably would be a better idea for stuff like maybe the 1/4 mile and top speed. Still, this episode will just be the exception, but I think in the future I will do that for future episodes. But yeah, 183 for the S5S Raptor, so it looks like the speed stat, I guess, does hold up. The Ascari finally gets on the board with putting it to 2-1, with the 195 mile an hour top end being better than the S5S Raptor's 183. Now, time for the circuit lap. And now we come to our circuits for today. Today we're going to be testing these two cars at Maple Valley Raceway, a standard of Xbox 360 and even original Xbox era Forza Motorsport days in terms of tracks. It's one of the most well-known fictional tracks that's been made, and one of my favorites. I don't believe this has been in Forza 5 or 6. Hopefully it'll see its return if that's the case. But if it is in those Forza games, please feel free to correct me. As I don't own an Xbox One or a PS4 or even a good computer, I wouldn't know when it comes to some of the newer stuff, I'm afraid. But yeah, the Raptor. Now, the Raptor seems to be quite controllable, in fact. It's got a little bit of tail happiness, but apart from that, it's pretty solid. Sure, it'll slip up a little bit here and there, but it still keeps itself under control quite well. It's easy to get this thing around corners. It doesn't require too much hassle. It's a nice, easy car to get into and start driving. So, anyways, like we did with Tsukuba, it'll be 4 laps, in which the best flying lap will be the time that the Ascari will have to beat. It'll be interesting to see if the Ascari can close the gap and add to making it a 2-2 tie going into the final points maker, which is a personal one, and that would be a fairly interesting thing. Well, we did get a little bit slippery in that spot there, but still not too bad, as we're coming down the downhill section here leading up to the finish line. Whoa, that was close, but we're nice and clean. We got a 1:46.860 from a standing start lap, which is pretty good for the Raptor, I'd say. That is a lap time that I'm okay with. Again, you gotta be careful with the throttle sometimes, because with most any car in this game, too much throttle can result in oversteer, and thus you're basically in sense of control. Okay, well that may have not been the cleanest, but we did get through there all right. So at least keeping it off the grass and whatnot. My neck's bugging me again. I've been having. This was happening the other night, and it's happening again. This is not fun. Not a fun feeling, to say the least. Okay, maybe I slowed down, or maybe perhaps a little bit too much for that, but, you know, it wasn't too terrible. Careful now. Okay, nicely done. Nice and smooth. Good entry and exit. Again with it just slipping up a little bit, but not quite enough. But yeah, you can just... The one thing I really like about the sound of Saleen is that turbo line. It's a great sounding line. Sounds... Like, I always loved certain turbo line sounds. It adds to the sound of the car to me, personally. I mean, if it's too redundant, then I'm not huge on it, but for this car, I think it's quite good. Ooh, that was good. That was very good, in fact. Alright, 1:43.351 is the first lap type there. Slow down a bit there. Oh, we're slipping up. Ease up on the throttle. Again, just gotta feather it a bit. It's kind of just go on and off to try to keep the car from suddenly full-on oversteer, because we don't want that. Okay, that was better through there too. So we should be able to see some improved time here if we keep this up, at least, and everything still goes the way it should. A little bit off there. We got a tiny bit of a slide, but yeah, I like that with the Raptor. Though oversteer is a possibility, it's still very controllable. It just gets a slight tailspin. But for the most part, you can keep it under control, so just letting off the throttle for a bit really does lead a long way. Now, I should mention about the S5S Raptor. This was supposed to be, I think, in many ways, the successor to the S7. It was going to be Saleen's next supercar. But what ended up happening was Saleen got caught in the financial trouble, especially amongst the ongoing recession at the time. And unfortunately, the project was nothing more but a project/concept car that ultimately got canceled, which is a real shame, because it would have been a really neat car to see. In fact, even for about a while, Saleen actually completely went under. They were gone. But over time, they were able to get resurrect them. I guess some business or financial things changed around, and Saleen was resurrected, and Saleen are back once again. And whilst 1:43.021, by the way, and whilst we probably won't be seeing the S5S Raptor happening, the S7, Saleen is just recently, not too long ago, announced that they're going to be making 7 special units once again for the S7, and it should be pretty interesting to see how that turns out. But yeah, Saleen was very much in. They were tuner of many most of the American companies, for the most part, with Ford. They did Dodge back in the day. I think, then headed over to Ford, and now these days they focus on all three major American manufacturers, with Ford, Dodge, and now as well Chevrolet. They sell like their own tuned performance variants of the Mustang, Camaro, and Challenger. So, but yeah, Saleen seems to be doing all right these days, which was nice. Careful now. But yeah, I've been mostly talking about that so much that I kind of haven't realized exactly how I've been doing here. Oh, we got some tail slide again. We're a bit off on the split, sadly. Ooh, that was interesting. Oh no! Oh no! Oh boy! I think I might have cut that apex a little bit too much. Alright, anyways, let's see. Can we make up some time? Holy crap, we made up a lot of time in that last section. 1:42.398. That's a pretty damn good time for the S5S Raptor, in my honest opinion. Of course, if you're a veteran of a hot lapper, I'm looking at you, Rhino, when it comes to Maple Valley. You can probably manage some better times, but personally, I think that 1:42 that I did, apparently, oh yeah, it only shows a 1:43. Oh well, because it was not a clean lap. Oh well, we know exactly what time we set, anyways. So the 1:42.3 whatever will be what the Ascari has to beat. Alright, now, if the Ascari can beat the 1:42.3 that was set by the S5S Raptor, we will have a 2-2 tie, and it'll come down to me needing to become the tiebreaker, which should be interesting if that happens to turn out to be the case. So I'm kind of hoping that the Ascari can do just that. And interestingly enough, for a mid-engine rear-wheel drive car, it's understeering. It's kind of like a four-wheel drive car would. In fact, it's not really getting the tail out. Oh god, that was bad. That was poor. Like, that was a bad corner. That was not very good. But yeah, it's interesting. The S5S Raptor had that little bit of oversteer where it would just want to slide out but not go ridiculously drift mode. The Ascari just seems to be is more refined, but to the point it understeers. It's very odd. Of course, because it's mid-engine, it can still get a little bit of slide out like that, but it seems to be less than that was seen in the Raptor. It's interesting how that turns out to be the case, but hey, we'll see what kind of lap time that we set here with the Ascari. I don't know why I'm cutting that so early. That wasn't exactly pretty, to say the least. Alright, come on. Let's just get this thing out of the way. Out of the way? What am I saying? I honestly don't know what I'm saying. But yeah, you have to kind of slow down a little bit more for these corners because of the Ascari's understeer. It's interesting. We're going to have to put a little bit of brakes there. There we go. That was still a good exit out of there, but let's see. A 1:45.1 for the first lap that we're going to get out here out of the Ascari. Now, of course, that could be a better lap if we can just keep it on the pavement. But yeah, about the KZ1-R, it's pretty much based off of the Ascari KZ1, but it's it's a more race-oriented, more performance spec model for more track designed and whatnot. Whereas the Ascari was more designed for the road. And so far this is a pretty good start. But yeah, it's not exactly Ascari A10 levels, because the A10 was like pretty much track car to the extreme. But the KZ1-R does have very track-oriented stuff. It's just meant to be a more sportier performance model over the KZ1. But yeah, I don't know if Ascari's made many cars. This is really the only car I know about. And judging by that split, we're going to have a really solid time here. Oh, we got a bit of slide out, though. Alright, let's ease up a bit. Ease it. Oh, we're sliding. We are sliding. Careful now. Oh, oh. Nate, okay, that wasn't perfect, but that's all right. So long as we finish, because this is looking like it's on pace to beat that Raptor. Because I think the extra speed just helps this car out. Oh man, look at that 142.04. I honestly am gonna put a stop to it there because really, there's not much point to, I guess, to continue. I guess how I'll be doing in the future, and I'll probably have also done this in episode 3, as if we beat it, we don't have to keep going, because the target, all we're really going for is the target time, and the Ascari crushed that by about roughly 3 seconds. It really, okay, sorry, not 3 seconds, nearly 2 seconds. I'm having a bit of a brain derp. But yeah, I think it did actually beat it by over 2 seconds, in fact. But yeah, anyway, so there we go. With the 142.04, the Ascari ties it up at 2 apiece, which means it now comes down to the overall driving experience. And, you know, I think both cars did tremendously well. I think both are really fun, really interesting to get into, easy to pick up, easy to use. They're just generally a lot of fun. Now, whilst both cars really did surprise me in how they drove, I was really surprised at the Ascari. The fact that it has almost no oversteer, it kind of felt like a four-wheel drive car in many areas. It's also good speed and ease of use to get into corners. It makes both these cars like easy S-Class cars for beginners, but the Ascari just has that little bit extra when it comes to really being just that little bit easier to get into, and it feels more like a driver's car compared to the Saleen. It just has that little bit of the edge over it, which means that based on my personal driving experience, the Ascari gets the third point, putting it with the 3-2 points lead, and of course that means that the Ascari KZ1-R is today's winner. Honestly, I just really like the way this Ascari drives. It may take a little bit to get the hang of, but once you get it down, you can get some pretty impressive times for a low S-Class car like this. So anyways, that's going to do it for today's episode. Stay tuned for the next one. As always, you can follow me at Twitter at HGCentralYT. You can join my forums at hgcentral.freeforums.net. You can donate to my Patreon, not required, but thank you if you decide to. And as always, guys, thank you for watching, and take care.